Good evening, students. How are you, students? So, students, we shall be starting last chapter of your syllabus today. That is chapter 11, Ethics and Terms of Audit Engagements. So, students, as far as this chapter is concerned, this chapter contains few general topics and it also contains few essays. So we shall be discussing about ethics, what professional ethics are all about. General overview is there. Complete ethics in detailed or taught to you at CA final level. Okay. Along with the provisions of Chartered Accountants Act 1949, it forms part of your syllabus at CA final level. So far as your present syllabus is concerned at CA intermediate level, we shall be discussing ethics generally and broadly touching why these are important. We shall also be discussing the proper approach to professional ethics, whether it should be principle based, whether it should be rule based. And we shall also discuss important fundamental principles governing professional ethics, which professional accountants are required to follow. We shall also discuss concept of independence of auditors, which you know in an elementary way. However, in this chapter, we shall be discussing this concept of independence of auditors in a detailed manner. What does it mean? What are its various aspects? What are threats to independence of auditors? How they can be mitigated? What are safeguards to be required to be adopted? We shall also discuss concept of professional skepticism, probably which you have gained an understanding by studying various essays. But still, the concept as such, what does it mean? What are its outlines would be discussed. And besides that, we shall be studying about requirements of SA 210, that is agreeing the terms of audit engagement, SQC1, that is standard on quality control, and SA 220, that is also relating to quality control in audit engagements. And we shall, in this context, we shall be discussing about the concept of audit quality in some ways. Okay. Yes, Srinivasan, I would upload MCQs in due course of time, probably in 2-3 days. Do not worry about that. That's in my knowledge. So, what do we mean by ethics? Yes. Yes, students, what do we mean by ethics? What would be your general response to the question, what is meant by ethics? What are ethics basically? Yes, anyone? No, no, Srinivasan, do it in a proper way you are writing, but what is the proper way? Okay, that's too general. Yes. Any one of you can give some specific response? what do we mean by ethics? Yes, Ritika, morally correct. That's near. Yes, Sanya, decision between what is right or wrong. That is also true. So basically, ethics are moral principles governing an individual's behavior. See, practically, students, when we do the things, we may be caught in various conflicting situations. So that is where ethics come to play a role. And you have also to understand that ethics is not something which can be ingrained merely by following some rule or law or regulation. Although adherence to rules, law or regulations is important, but still the concept of ethics is broader than that. So these are built into the character of a person, in its habits, in its temperament, in its attitude, in his attitude. Yes, Tambeshwari, you are also right. Yes, Dilip, complying with the standards set by governing body is a part of it. As I am telling you that the concept is broader than that. Not merely sticking to rules, but broader than that. Like imbibing a culture of honesty, integrity, and to be objective in all the work that one is doing, to be truthful to the client. So these are are part of ethics. Okay. And obviously following standards or rules uh, set by the regulating body is definitely part of it. And but what I'm trying to say, that it is broader than that. It is not that uh, that following rules and regulations is not important. It is important, but the concept is larger than that. Yes, Ankit, yes, you are also right. So students, every profession has its ethics. Like doctors have also ethics, lawyers have also ethics. So you might be knowing, students, that when doctors qualify, they take an oath regarding which is called as Hippocratic oath. So it is it is an oath which binds them to the service of patients and all those kind of things. So similarly, accountants are also bound by ethics. Rather, importance of ethics in accountancy profession, in auditing profession, is greater than in other professions. Yes, can you think of any reason why this is greater? Yes. No, no, it is not. I have just given you an example. No oath is required to be taken as such. Yes. Yes, Srinivasan, is it clear? Why, tell me why ethics are more important in accounting profession, in auditing profession? No, no, it is Tambeshwari, you are writing it is based on principle. But my question is why these are more important in auditing profession as compared to other professions? Yes. Anyone waiting for your responses? Think of any reason why these are important. Yes, yes, Pranav, you are right. Srinivasan, yes, you are also right because it is used by external users. Because not following ethics will impact the decisions of a lot of people based on financial statements. Because public interest is involved. So both of you are absolutely right. So public interest is involved, like the auditors who are signing on the financial statements. So the lot of stakeholders place confidence in the financial statements signed by the auditors, including general public, society at large. So therefore, and of course, it involves financial matters, financial figures, results of an entity, operational results of an entity. So therefore, the importance of professional ethics is greater, is manifold in accounting profession, in auditing profession, than compared to other professions. Clear? So, and students, one more important thing you have to remember that chartered accountants, whether they are in service or whether they are in practice, they are bound by ethics. It is not only that chartered accountants who are in public practice, only they are bound by ethics, only they are bound by professional ethics, but professional ethics are also applicable to chartered accountants who are in service. And it is in this context that ICAI has issued a code of ethics, and which contains all the requirements. It talks about the fundamental principles, it talks about the independent standards, and it has also various legal provisions which are contained in Chartered Accountants Act 1949, which are to be strictly followed by CAs. So these all things you would be studying at your CA final level. You have just to understand that not following ethics can land chartered accountants in trouble, and they might face regulatory action, including disciplinary action, as contained in relevant laws and rules made thereunder. The fine can be imposed. Okay, and other punitive actions can also be taken against the members as contained in the relevant laws. So students, as I had told you at the outset, there are two approaches to the ethics. Say one is principle based approach, and one is rule-based approach. So as I had told you that principle-based approach is a broader approach. It deals with the spirit of ethics, that ethics are to be followed not only letter but also truly in the spirit in which these are proclaimed. And rule-based approach means strictly following rules, strictly going by the rule book. So it is always better if a principle-based approach is followed and ethics are followed not only in letter but also truly in their spirit by cultivating these into one's character, into one's habits, into one's attitude, one's temperament. So that is the difference between principle based approach and rule based approach of ethics. Yes, students, so you have understood the meaning of ethics, why these are important, and why these are more important in accountancy profession. Yes, students, drop a mail. Yes, students, kindly drop mail that it is clear to you. Okay, that's fine enough. Sanya and Srinivasan. So students, there are certain fundamental principles governing professional ethics. So for short, I am writing PE. So there are basically 5 fundamental principles governing professional ethics. So you have to remember their names, their meaning, understand their nature, and so that you can apply them in practical situations. So sometimes in exams, some imaginary situation is coming and they are asking to you whether this principle is being followed or not. Okay, so this type of question can also come, and it has come in the past also. So 5 fundamental principles governing professional ethics are: number 1, integrity. So first I'm writing names only. Second is objectivity. Third is professional competence and due care. Fourth is confidentiality. And fifth is professional behavior. So you have to remember their names and also understand their meaning. Now, what is integrity? So integrity means being honest in one's dealing, being truthful, not signing any false report, not omitting any information which would make the report or any sort of certificate misleading. So these are all ingredients of integrity. Okay. So we will see what is written in your module. What does integrity mean? Say a professional accountant shall comply with the principle of integrity, which requires an accountant to be straightforward and honest in all professional and business relationships. So integrity means fair dealing and truthfulness. So when we say, oh, look, that person is of high integrity, it means that that person believes in fair dealing. He is truthful. Okay. So that is the meaning of integrity. Okay. So a professional accountant shall not knowingly be associated. He shall not knowingly be associated. Means that he has knowledge of that. Be associated with reports, returns, communications, or other information. So any sort of information where the accountant believes that information contains a materially false or misleading statement. So he shall not be associated with such type of statements, reports, or information. Means he would not sign that. Okay. Or contains statements or information provided negligently. So the information which has been prepared negligently or which omits or obscures required information where such omission would or obscurity would be misleading. It means that it tends to um, uh, dilute some information which could be misleading for the stakeholders. Okay. Obscure in Hindi means for Hindi medium students like dhundla karna. Okay. So therefore he should not be associated with any information that is or report or return that could be misleading or that is false. So that is the meaning of integrity. And what is the meaning of objectivity? So objectivity means like when we say that be objective, take decisions on an objective basis. What does it mean? It means take decisions on facts. Okay. Not biased by any influence, not in an a prejudiced manner, and not affected by any conflict of interest or undue influence of any other. So take decision based upon facts as these are. Okay. So principle of objectivity requires that a professional accountant shall not undertake a professional activity if circumstance unduly influences the accountant's professional judgment regarding that activity. So, students, I am asking you a question with which concept this principle of objectivity is related. Can you correlate it with some concept which you have studied in auditing till now? With which concept this principle of objectivity seems to be related, that the auditor shall not compromise professional judgment because of bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence. Yes, Ritika, well done. Independence. So obviously principle of objectivity is related to independence, that The auditor shall not be swayed away by other person's wills. He shall not act subordinate to the wishes of other person. He shall make his decisions on the basis of professional judgment based upon facts, and he shall not accept uh, any activity if it prejudices his decision of, or if influences his decisions in any sort of way. Okay. Yes, Nitin, you are also stating independence. So initial audit engagement is not a as such. You, probably you have misunderstood it, Sanya. So obviously you can say that uh, independence in initial audit engagement. So that you can say. Although independence is not required merely in an initial audit engagement, but in all audit engagements. Yes. Yes, Ankit, you are also right. So you have understood, students, the meaning of integrity and objectivity. Yes. Are the meanings of integrity and objectivity clear to you? Yes, students, kindly drop mails. Okay. So third principle is professional competence and due care. Now, what does this mean? So basically, you know that accountants who are in public practice, they are providing service to the public, to their clients, who may be corporates, individuals, firms. Okay, so this principle requires that the accountants always maintain their professional skill and knowledge at the required level to ensure that their clients receive the services according to the current professional and technical standards which are in force, and in accordance with the requirements of law, and in accordance with the requirements of legislation. So like say you have to advise your clients so that they do not land into trouble. So you can advise only when you yourself stay updated at all times, that you yourself are aware of all the developments which are happening, and you keep track of them, and accordingly you can give proper advice. Okay. And professional competence and due care also means to act diligently. Diligently means, when we say he acts diligently, means to act carefully after considering pros and cons, after a due deliberation of a matter, by considering its various aspects and considering the matter thoroughly and threadbare. So this is the meaning of professional competence and due care. Clear? Now, fourth principle is confidentiality. Now, what does confidentiality means? So, students, an auditor or a practicing chartered accountant or a chartered accountant may come across certain matters during the course of his course of rendering of his services, which may be sensitive. So therefore, accountants, auditors, they have to follow a principle of confidentiality, that they should not divulge any information of their clients to the outsider, unless required and permitted by law. Okay, so if law requires them, then it would be a different situation. But generally, they are not supposed to disclose to third parties any information which they acquire by virtue of their professional relationship, by virtue of their business relationships with their clients. Like, for example, suppose uh, we have just done a chapter on audit of banks, chapter 10. Suppose you go to a bank, to branch of a bank for some audit. Okay. Obviously, you may come across certain information relating to the borrowers, to the account holders. Okay. So you may come across certain names or certain confidential information, sensitive information. Okay, because in your capacity as auditors, you would be going through all the documents. So therefore, it would be against professional ethics if this principle is violated and you disclose such information uh, to give, say, advantage to some third party. Okay, so therefore, accountants are, yes, we shall be uh, doing MCQs also on the last session, and today we shall be doing some descriptive questions on these principles which are there in your module, Srinivasan. Okay, so confidentiality is clear, and last principle is professional behavior. So students, remember the names clearly. So you have to learn these names. These won't go into your head just by going through once. You have to learn, because in the exams, while writing, you may jumble up. You may write in place of professional behavior something else. So if you do not write the proper words, you are not going to get any marks. Okay. So professional behavior, students, means that an auditor, accountant, they are required to comply with laws, and they won't do anything which would bring disrepute to the profession as a whole. Okay, so like, say you go into a government department, and or and you engage in some fight. So in some fight, they are over some issue. Okay, so it is certainly affecting the image of profession in the eyes of general public, in the eyes of stakeholders, and it gives a bad name to the profession as a whole. Therefore, it is duty of all the chartered accountants uh, to behave, to maintain professional behavior, and not to engage in sort of anything which damages the reputation of the profession. Clear, students? So again, I am repeating all the 5 names of the fundamental principles governing professional ethics. So these are integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. Okay. So let us see this test your understanding. We shall take a brief pause here and we will discuss these principles in context of some practical situations which are given in your module. Yes, Ritika, you are right. So test your understanding one. CA P. Suryakantam has conducted audit of accounts of an entity for a particular year. So later on, ICAI has issued a letter to him relating to certain matters concerning audit. He didn't even bother to reply to the letter despite reminders. Discuss which fundamental principle governing professional ethics is disregarded by him, means is violated by him, is not followed by him. Yes, without seeing the answers. So you have understood the question. An auditor has signed the report. ICI has sought for certain information in relation to that engagement, in relation to that audit, and he doesn't even care uh, to respond to that letter. So just think which principle of professional ethics is violated by him, which principle of professional ethics is disregarded by him. Yes, only three responses have come. Ritika, Tambeshwari, and Anjali. What about others? Yes, Pranav and Sanya have also given. Yes, students, others. In Zoom meeting itself, there are more than 20 participants, but only four responses have come. Yes. So, students, many of you are writing professional behavior. So that seems to be the correct response. So professional behavior, what we had understood the by the meaning of professional behavior, like in this case, students, he has not even bothered to respond. Actually, by not responding uh, to the letter of ICI, he has not only violated the relevant rules and regulations, but he has brought discredit. Okay, it shows upon the character, upon the attitude that he is not responding even to a communication from the regulator. Okay. Yes, Ankit, your answer is also correct. Your answer is visible. So C, test your understanding second. A chartered accountant in practice issued a certificate showing original cost of plant and machinery? Yes, Srinivasan, your answer is correct. Installed in premises of a client for rupees 9 crore to save some regulatory fees for his client. Say, as per books of accounts, the cost of plant and machinery was 15 crores as per records. But he has given a certificate of rupees 9 crore so that some fees for the client is saved. So, which fundamental principle governing professional ethics is violated in this case? So, like say, certificate is given to some authority, to some body where some fees is to be paid depending upon the cost of plant and machinery. Okay. So, which principle governing professional ethics is violated in this case? Yes, only four responses have come, students. Yes, students, waiting for your responses. Give more responses so that we can know that you are truly participating in this session, in this meeting. Yes. So all of you are writing correctly. Integrity principle. That is right. Because here he is giving a false information. He knows that the original cost of plant and machinery as per records of the client is 15 CR, but still he is giving certificate for 9 CR. Therefore, the principle of integrity is violated. And Nitin, how you are writing objectivity? Yes. Is there some doubt? See, Nitin, objectivity means not to be unduly influenced by things, not to be biased. But here he is plainly giving false information. He is signing on false information. The situation doesn't give any hint relating to bias. Yes, Nitin. Is the question clear to you? Yes, Nitin, please respond. Okay, fine enough. So let us see if you have any MCQs at the end of module on professional ethics. Yes, one is there. MCQ number 3. Yes, it is damn simple, students. Can you find out which of the following is not a fundamental principle governing professional ethics? Yes, yes, all of you are writing answer D. That is correct. So I hope students that all the fundamental principles of professional ethics are clear to you. The meaning, their nature, what do they signify, what do they mean? Okay. So let me ask you a question. Another question relating to fundamental principle of professional ethics. Say you are auditor of a company and you are auditor since last 3 years. Okay, let us say that. And during year say 23-24, you notice that company has acquired a acquired another company and it holds 100% shares in it. Okay. So, but you do not advise the management that consolidated financial statements as required by provisions of Companies Act 2013 are required to be prepared and are also required to be audited. Okay. So the management people are naive. They do not know much about the law. So tell me in this situation, which fundamental principle of professional ethics is violated? Yes, Ankit, uh, there is no such a class specifically for taking so many MCQs. So you can go to the your BOS website and on the dashboard you can log in and you can practice uh, quite a good number of MCQs. Yes, two responses have come. No, no, again, students, you are making mistakes. So this here, the principle which is being violated is professional competence and due care because he should have advised the client in accordance with the legal requirements, in accordance with the current legal requirements. Okay. So Sanya, you are saying integrity as he is not being honest to the company. So that is too outlier a response, too far off. Okay. So the nearest principle which is applicable here is professional competence and due care. So while answering the questions, you have to see what is the most appropriate thing, which is the most appropriate option. So simple, he should have advised the client based upon his knowledge, but he is not advising. So he has not acted diligently, he has not acted carefully, he has not provided all the information with the professional competence which is expected of a professional accountant. Okay. And Pranav, you are writing professional behavior. Uh, so Pranav, you are saying if it is regarding legal compliance, then it will be professional competence. No, you have to see, Pranav, the context of the situation. Now, here, this chap is the auditor of the company. There are legal requirements that CFS are to be prepared. Obviously, when CFS are to be prepared, these are required to be audited, like in case of standalone financial statements. But still, the client has not been advised. So, have I? So again, the professional behavior application is too far stretched. Okay. So you have to see the situation and then apply and then state. Okay. Like professional behavior is usually used when say general image of profession is hit by some action on the part of the auditor, by some action on the part of the professional accountant. Okay. So now we come to another very important concept, that is independence of auditors. Now this concept, you already know its basic meaning. You have got a hint of it in chapter 1, where you had read the first line about the meaning of audit, that audit is an independent examination of financial information of an entity. So the word there is, from the very meaning of audit, there it is, that it is independent examination of financial information of an entity. So what does independence mean? So independence means that person shall take decisions on objective basis, that his judgment is not dependent upon the wishes or upon the signals of another person who, for which he is working, for which he is rendering services, which has engaged him, or to promote his own self-interest. So that is the true meaning of independence. So independence, students, again, it is a broad concept. Independence requirements can vary from situation to situation. What may be uh, independent in one situation may not be independent in some another situation. Okay. So therefore, again, we have to follow the principles based approach of ethics, and the concept of independence has also to be ingrained in one's attitude, in one's character, in one's habits, and not only follow by following rules or laws, although these are important. These are also important to be followed, but as I told you earlier, that the concept is broader than that. So students, independence has two perspectives. It has two perspectives. Perspectives means two dimensions, you can say two dimensions. Two perspectives. Okay. One is independence in mind, and second is independence in appearance. Now, what do these mean and what are their significance? So independence of mind. So independence of mind means the basic meaning of independence, which we have understood that that I am conscious of the fact that I will not be influenced by other person in taking decision. Although that person may have engaged me, he may have he may be enjoying services rendered by me, but still I would take decisions on an independent basis. I would take decisions based upon facts. I would exercise objectivity. I would remain alert to the possibility of misstatements, to the possibility of frauds, and I would not compromise professional judgment merely because I am rendering the services to a person who has engaged me. Okay, so this is the concept of independence of mind. And related to this concept is another concept of independence, that is independence in appearance. That is independence in appearance. So what does this mean? Independence in appearance. So it means that not only I have to be independent as such in making my professional judgment, but I should appear to be so to other persons, to third parties. Say, if if by some if by some action of mine, other parties, third parties, public at large, they get a conflicting signals. So then my independence would be endangered. I would not be acting as a truly independent person in the true sense of the term. Yes, friends. So remember, there are two perspectives, two dimensions of the concept of independence of auditors. One is independence of mind, and another is independence in appearance. That not only one should be independent, but to others he should look to be independent. He should not do any such thing which might harm his independence. Like, for example, suppose you are auditor of a company and your company is launching a new product. Okay, so your company of which you are the auditor, it requests you to be associated with their certain campaign, public campaign, to attend, say, the public gatherings, to attend press conferences, where you end up promoting the product of the company. Okay, so then, and when as an auditor you are signing the financial statements of the company, would the public have, would the investors have same level of trust in you because of this action on your part? The answer is no. Their trust might get diminished because by your action, by your conduct, you have done such things with which it shows that you may be closely associated with the company, that you are closely associated with the company, that you are promoting the products of the company, that you are part and parcel of the company. Okay. So this is the concept of independence in appearance. So the auditor has to be not only independent in mind, but he has also to be independent in appearance. By his action, he should not do anything which should mar, which should diminish, which should endanger his independence. Yes, students, are the both perspectives of the concept of independence clear to you? Yes, drop the mail, students. Yes, students, just one mail has come. Is the concept of independence clear to you? Yes, Tambeshwari, you are saying difference not understood. So Tambeshwari, you just do one thing. So you can talk to me directly on Zoom in last 10 minutes. Okay. So I'll explain to you. Is that fine, Tambeshwari? So now Ritika, professional skepticism, the concept we shall be going to study if the time permits today itself. Okay. So for the time being, you can understand that professional skepticism means uh, having an attitude of being alert in every situation. Okay. So now we concept to the concept of threats to independence. So the code discusses not only the concept of independence, but it also states threats to independence. So basically, there are five threats. Like there are five fundamental principles of professional ethics. So there are five threats. Threats, students, you understand the meaning of threat? When I am threatened by something, like I am endangered by something. In Hindi, khatara. Okay. So five threats to auditors' independence. So again, this is an important topic. Many time questions are coming from this topic in this chapter. Okay. So you have to correctly remember the names of the threats and their meaning and in which situation such threats can arise. Okay. And students, always keep in mind that a practical situation might not involve a single threat, but but two more than one threat. It may involve two or three threats. But in case study questions, in MCQ question, you have to state the main threat. So there would be certain main a main parameter in the situation which would be highlighting a threat which you would have to identify. Okay. So five threats to auditors' independence are self-interest threats. So first, remember the names. Second, self-review threats. Third, advocacy threats. Fourth, familiarity threats. Fifth, intimidation threats. So remember the names by heart. Names and meaning. So what are self-interest threats, students? As the name denotes, self-interest where an auditor's self-interest would be involved. Now consider a situation. Say the auditor, if the auditor becomes shareholder in a company, he is the shareholder of a company, and he also accepts appointment as auditor of the company. So would he remain independent? Which threat would be involved in this case? Yes, yes, students. Which threat would be involved in this case? Because he is the shareholder, he is the stakeholder. Shareholders are the owners of the company. So how he can accept the appointment of the as the auditor of the company in which he has a stake? So his self-interest is involved. So therefore, such threats. So I am just giving you an example. Self-interest threat is involved. Like say you are offered appointment as auditor of a bank, and say you have also taken loan from that bank. So should you accept that appointment? Why you should not accept that appointment? Because your independence is endangered. Your independence is threatened by reason of self-interest threat that you have taken loan from the bank, and for the same bank you are going to act as auditor. So these are examples of self-interest threats. So students, that is why there are provisions in Companies Act. So you have done your corporate law classes, students who are giving both groups. So section 141, I think there are disqualifications of auditors, qualifications and disqualifications of auditors. So it is expressly provided in provisions of law that an auditor cannot hold shares of the company. of the very company of which he is auditor. He cannot hold any security. Why this provision has been made in the law? Just to ward off these threats, self-interest threats. Rather, provisions in law are too harsh. They state that even the relatives of auditor are not allowed to hold shares of that very company. They can hold shares only up to a certain amount. Okay. Beyond that, they can't hold. Why? Because self-interest threats are involved. So these provisions have been inserted in the Companies Act 2013 to maintain independence of the auditors. Kiran Kumarji, there is the auditor himself cannot hold any share, but Apurva Das said you are writing correctly. Relatives can hold shares up to face value of rupees 1 lakh. Okay. So now let us see what is written in your module. So self-interest threats occur when an auditing firm, its partner, could benefit from financial interest in an audit client. Like holding of shares is an example of direct financial interest. In a client, ठीक है, loan from the client or loan to the client or guarantee to or from the client, one and the same thing. Okay. Undue dependence, like undue dependence on client's fees. Like say suppose you are acting as auditor of a company, say, but 60% of your total revenues are coming from one single client. Okay. So would you remain truly independent? No, because you would always fear losing the client. So it is again an example of self-interest threat. Okay. So such situations are mentioned. And what are self-review threats? Self-review threats means when a situation arises that you would end up reviewing your own work. Okay. So like say if an internal auditor is allowed to audit, to sign financial statements of a company, then what is this situation? That is why internal auditors are barred to act as statutory auditors, because this situation involves self-review threats, because they would end up reviewing their own work. They would be observing, they would be commenting on their own work. Okay. Or say suppose previously some person was working in a company as its employee. Okay. He didn't have certificate of practice, and later on now he has applied for certificate of practice and has joined some audit firm, and he ends up auditing that very company of which he was the employee, of which he was he was in some responsible position. So these are examples of self-review threats. Okay. So self-review threats are related to the you can say to the to sort of work performed. Okay. And what are advocacy threats? Now, advocacy threats has nothing to do with advocate. Do not confuse it with the word advocate. Advocacy means uh, to promote somebody, to say that, like the example I had given you at the beginning, that the auditor ends up promoting the products of the company. So in that situation, uh, he is basically acting as a mouthpiece. He is acting as a spokesperson of the company. So he would not remain as independent. So in that case, there would be advocacy threats. Okay, because people would believe that his independence, that his uh, objectivity is being compromised, and he can be, in people's perception, uh, he would not appear to be independent. Okay, so that is the meaning of advocacy threats. Clear? And what is the meaning of familiarity threats? Familiarity threats means, say you are auditing a company or a client for some years. So obviously, in the process, you say that we know all the system, all the procedures, we know about the nature of business of the company, we know all the staff, all the people are good, they are keeping records in a proper manner, they treat us very well. Okay, so a sort of you end up being too sympathetic to the client. You become too familiar with the client. You are known to the partners, you are known to the directors of the company. Okay, so you are too familiar with the client. Okay, so such type of threats are known as familiarity threats. Like it is because of these familiarity threats, a provision is there, again in Companies Act 2013, that auditors are going to be rotated. Why this sort of provision is there, that auditors are going to be rotated? That firm of auditors would be rotated after two consecutive terms. Why? Because because of familiarity threats. Because they have been auditing the financial statements of a particular client for a good number of years. So therefore, they may overlook certain things because they have developed some sort of association, some sort of familiarity with the clients. Yes, yes, Ritika, you are right. Okay, clear? Familiarity threats. And what are intimidation threats? Intimidation threats means when the auditor may be intimidation. Hindi meaning is to put fear, dharana. When the auditors are intimidated that if you do not give us clean report, then we will not um that we will not pay your fees, okay? We will replace you, like this thing, putting pressure, okay? So such threats, obviously, that we would engage some another professional. So such threats would deter auditors, would discourage auditors from acting uh, objectively. So these are five kind of threats. Yes, yes, Srinivasan. That is why cooling period is there. Okay. Now, safeguards to independence. So it is the responsibility of chartered accountants to remain truly independent and to identify threats to their independence on a timely basis. And if such threats exist, then use safeguards, use corrective action to address those threats. Okay, so that their independence is not diminished, is not impaired. Okay, so following principles are there, guiding principles are there in respect of independence. The auditors should be and always appear to be independent of the audit entities they are auditing. So this relates to concept of a perspective of independence of mind and independence in appearance. Okay. Before taking on any work, the auditor must consider whether it involves threat to his independence. Okay. So it is specifically there in the standard also. In asset 220, you would learn about it. Okay. So the auditor has to ensure that he remains independence. He preserves his independence. He remains independent. And if he identifies any threat, the auditor should not accept the assignment. He should desist from the task or eliminate the threat or reduce the threat to a minimum level so that his independence is not in any way diminished. Okay. And if he is not able to ward off the threat, then obviously he must not accept the work. Like say, for example, if the auditor comes to know that he is auditing a company, but his relative, his close relative, which is covered in the meaning of relative, is has acquired some shares in the company. So what he can do? So first, his knee-jerk reaction should not be to resign. He can first ask his relative to sell those shares. Okay. Of course, by following the law, what is the which is the required period prescribed in the law? And if that happens, that means he has eliminated the threat. So there was a threat to his independence. So he has now eliminated the threat. Okay. So clear, students? Yes, students. The concept of independence of threat. And students, you have also to get a basic idea. Do not just go too far in this area, because there may be many overlapping situations, and that intermediate level, your only basic knowledge is tested. Your basic knowledge is going to be tested. Okay. And the whole paper, if you see your exam paper, the whole paper is coming from your module. All the only thing that is being done is that it is more of application based. So whatever you are reading in module, there is, you won't find even a single instance of a single question which cannot be answered based upon your module, based upon contents of your module. Okay, the questions would be, of course, direct application at intermediate level. Yes, students, please drop a mail. So till now, I am again revising the few things we have done till now. Number one, we have understood the meaning of ethics. We have understood why professional ethics are important. No, Srinivasan, I have not seen January 25 audit paper yet. Okay. So it is not, I have not seen. And we have also understood the principle based approach and rules based approach to ethics. We have also learned 5 fundamental principles governing professional ethics and also understood their meaning. And those 5 fundamental principles are, again, students, remember with me the names of 5 fundamental principles. These are integrity, objectivity, third, professional competence and due care, fourth, confidentiality, fifth, professional behavior. And we have also understood in a detailed manner the concept of independence of auditors. There are two interlinked concepts, two interlinked perspectives of independence in mind and independence in appearance. So remember, both the concepts are interlinked. Both the perspectives are interlinked. And we have also understood 5 threats to independence of auditors. And these 5 threats are self-interest threats, self-review threats, third, advocacy threats, fourth, familiarity threats, fifth, intimidation threats. Okay. So we shall take a short break of 10 minutes and come back after 10 minutes, guys. Yes, Manish, break for 10 minutes.
Welcome back, students. So, students, another concept which is there in your module is yes, yes, students, welcome back. Another concept in your module is professional skepticism, which just now some student had probably Ritika had asked. And what does this mean? Professional skepticism. So, students understand that professional skepticism means an attitude of questioning mind, being alert to the situation of frauds, being alert to the errors, being alert to the risk of errors or frauds, being alert to the risk of misstatements. Like, do not try to accept the things at their face value. Just perform some procedure um, and obtain audit evidence and then gain confidence, then critically evaluate that audit evidence and then gain confidence and form an opinion. So professional skepticism includes all these things. Say you are auditing financial statements of a company, and during the course of audit, you find something which contradicts some other audit evidence. Okay, like say, for example, that management is saying to you that we have physically verified um, the inventories or property, plant, and equipment, say at some stipulated time periods, at some stipulated intervals. But when you read the internal audit reports of the company, reports of the internal auditor, you find that internal auditor is pointing out that management is not doing such exercise. So this would bring into question the reliability of statements, the reliability of information provided by the management, and the auditor should, so either one of them is not speaking the truth, so the auditor would try to resolve the matter, or he would have to see how this situation is to be tackled, is to be evaluated, whether there is possibility of any fraud. He has to go deeper. Okay, so this is just one of the examples of being alert, of not overlooking unusual circumstances. Okay, so when you assess the risks, when you identify the risks, you have read in chapter 3 in essay 315 that the auditor performs risk assessment procedures. So when you identify and assess the risk, you are not going to overlook the any unusual circumstance, or you are, even during the course of audit, you are not going to overlook any unusual situation, any unusual circumstance which has come to your notice as part of performing audit, part of performing audit procedures. So this is basically what professional skepticism means all about: being alert, trying to question the management, trying to question the employees, and finding suitable responses to your queries, and whatever responses you get, whatever evidence you are get, you then try to assess it. You then try to evaluate it with a critical eye, and see what can be made of it, whether it uh, it is sufficient, appropriate audit evidence, whether you are satisfied about it. Okay, so this is what the concept of professional skepticism is all about. Okay, so now let us go to your module. So professional skepticism refers to an attitude that includes a questioning mind, being alert to the conditions which may indicate probable misstatement due to error or fraud, and a critical assessment of audit evidence. So you would not only be alert to some situation which could be fraudulent, or some there could be some misstatements due to material misstatements due to errors, and whatever evidence you have obtained, you have to critically assess it with a critical eye. Okay, try to question it, and then obtain, then using all your professional knowledge and skills, then arrive at the judgment. Okay, so it signifies that auditor has to remain alert forever. His attitude has to be a questioning mind of challenging the things in light of available evidence. Okay, so if I find something which is not going down my throat, so I should not hesitate in asking unpleasant questions from the management. Okay, so the auditor shall plan and perform an audit with professional skepticism, recognizing that there may be circumstances under which the financial statements may be misstated, that these could be misstated. He has to be always alert to this possibility. Always alert to this possibility. So this concept, students, this runs throughout the audit, right from planning till performance, till the audit evidence is obtained and it is evaluated, conclusions are formed, and then opinion is to be formed. So this runs throughout, right from the beginning. Okay. So professional skepticism includes being alert to, for example, in the following situation: audit evidence that contradicts other audit evidence obtained. So one piece of audit evidence which I have obtained is contradictory to some other information. Okay. Information that brings into question the reliability of documents and responses to the inquiries to be used as audit evidence. Like say if some information comes to my notice which may say cast doubt on the reliability of some assertion made by the management in financial statements, like 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 relating to value of sales, like hiding of some related party information. Okay, say the management is telling me something else, but I have in my possession some documents which shows that so and so party is a related party, but management is not disclosing it to me. Okay, So that would bring into the question the statements, the responses which the management is making to me. Okay. Conditions that may indicate possible fraud. Okay. So some conditions which may indicate possible fraud, which may be committed by the say management itself. Okay, by say inflating the sales, by inflating the profits, by booking fake sales, by wrongly um, recognizing say some liabilities as revenues. So many situations can be there. And circumstances that suggest the need for audit procedures in addition to those required by essays. So students, till now you have read so many essays, right from essay 200 till essay 700 series relating to audit report. You know how strict and how vast, how elaborate the requirements of standards on auditing are. So if you find that you are going, that the situations are such that certain procedures have to be performed which are not there even in standards, so you have to go beyond the standards. So it should definitely, you should flag that issue. Okay. That there is a possibility then of unusual circumstances. Okay. So why this professional skepticism is necessary? Why this type of attitude by the auditors is necessary? So maintaining professional skepticism throughout the audit is necessary if the auditor is to reduce the risks of overlooking unusual circumstances. If he, why this is important? Because otherwise he may overlook certain unusual circumstances which are not required to be overlooked. That would happen only when he would maintain an attitude of questioning mind, when he would be always remain alert to the possibilities of errors or frauds in the financial statements. Okay. And another thing is overgeneralizing while drawing conclusions from the audit observations. Like suppose this means that suppose you have got some audit evidence, but you look it in a very casual manner. Okay, okay, it's fine enough. कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. You people would say कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. So you are overgeneralizing when drawing conclusions from the observations of your own procedures. So the data, the evidence which you have obtained is pointing to some possibility, but still you are overgeneralizing, you are not going into specifics. Okay. So using inappropriate assumptions in determining the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures. Yes, Srinivasan, this example is not coming to my mind immediately. If I'll see if it comes to my mind, I'll give. Okay. Using inappropriate assumptions in determining the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures and evaluating the results thereof. So while you have planned the audit procedures, what should be the timing of your procedures? What should be their nature? Which type of procedures are to be performed? Which type of tests of controls? Which type of tests of details are required to be performed? And what would be your sample? What would be your sample size in respect of these procedures? So you are making certain assumptions which are not proper. So it means you are not acting in the way in which standards require you to be. Okay. So it you may land up in reaching inappropriate wrong conclusions. That is why professional skepticism is necessary even at the planning stage. So that is why they say that professional skepticism is necessary throughout the audit to reduce the risk of overgeneralization, to reduce the risk of using inappropriate assumptions in determining the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures, to reduce the risks of overgeneralizing when drawing conclusions from the audit observation. Clear, students? So, students, these things are written in a technical language, in language of standards. This whole literature is taken from standards. Okay, so I am trying my best to explain to you in in simple language with possible examples. Okay, so that you can get the feel of what the issue, what the topic is all about. Okay, so professional skepticism is necessary to the critical assessment of audit evidence. Now you have performed the audit procedures. So right from planning, if you have made correct assumptions, if you have adopted an attitude of professional skepticism, then you would perform the right procedures, you would perform the proper procedures, and now you have obtained audit evidence after performing the procedures. At this stage also, professional skepticism is necessary for assessing the audit evidence, whether this evidence is sufficient and appropriate. You have read in SA 500 that audit evidence has to be sufficient, appropriate. So obviously you would be gaining that satisfaction, whatever piece of information, whatever audit evidence you have obtained in respect of various assertions made by the management in the financial statement. It has to be sufficient, appropriate. It has to satisfy these twin conditions, because it is on this basis you would be drawing conclusions and forming opinion. Okay. Dear students, so if the auditor is required to consider the reliability of information to be used as audit evidence, in case of doubt about the reliability of information or indications of fraud, essays require that the auditor investigates the matter further and see what modifications are required to procedures. Say if there is a possibility of fraud earlier during the at planning stage, you had assessed audit risk to be a risk of misstatement to be low. Okay. Now some situation has emerged during the course of audit and you have revised your risk of assessment. So obviously, risk of material misstatements. So therefore, uh, you have revised your risk also. So therefore, it would require modification to the procedures, because a situation has emerged and now you want to resolve that situation by performing greater extent of procedures, or you may want to change the nature of the procedures. Okay. Yes, Apurva. Yes, Manish, is my voice proper? Am I audible? Yes. What about other students? Apurva is saying that my voice is coming too low. Yes, am I audible, students? Please drop a mail. Yes, so Apurva, there may be some issue at your end. There might be some connectivity issue at your end. I am trying to speak with full force. So I hope, students, that you have understood the spirit of concept of professional skepticism. Is the concept clear? Professional skepticism, is the concept clear, students? So let us do few test your understanding questions, students. See, test your understanding three. Read this question and try to answer it without going to the solutions, so that you can test your own knowledge, so that you can test your understanding what you have learned now. Yes, Kambeshwari, you are saying me to explain last part. So last part is that if the auditor seems alive to the some possibility of fraud, then he should obviously widen his area of checking and see whatever procedures he had planned. Now this area would be increased, so he would try to uh, resolve that matter, whether his doubt is true or not. Say he cannot, the auditor cannot act merely on suspicion. He has to get sufficient appropriate audit evidence. अगर उसको लग रहा है कि ऐसा है, लगने से खाली कुछ नहीं होगा तांबेश्वरी, ये समझिए आप। अगर सफिशिएंट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस नहीं है, वो अपना कुछ भी जो भी उसको रिपोर्टिंग में ओपिनियन मॉडिफाई करना है, वो सफिशिएंट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस पे ही होगा, या ऑडिट एविडेंस या कोई इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है, या वो ऑडिट एविडेंस गैदर नहीं कर सका तो डिस्क्लेमर देगा। ओके, सी टेस्ट योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग थ्री। Send your responses on BOS mail, friends. Send your responses on BOS mail. Now, CA Raman is offered appointment as auditor of a company. So one of his distant relatives held some shares. So it is clearly written that he is a distant relative and he doesn't come under the provisions of Companies Act. Okay. So therefore his independence is not affected. But before he could accept appointment, his uncle died. He was nominee of those shares. So the shares are having substantial value. So what he should do? No, threat of independence No, no. Galti, Anil, you are saying, can auditor go for investigation? No right. Yes, he has no right. But the investigation word here is written in general sense. It doesn't mean that he should become an investigator. It means that he he would remain an auditor, but he would try to find out the things deeper than earlier planned. Investigation word has been used in essays at many places, but it is not to be confused with the term investigation as such. Okay. So the question is asking what should be the proper course of action for him. No, no, Dilip, you are saying that he has become nominee of the shares, so he should refuse the appointment. All of you are writing one part correctly, that it is after death of his uncle, it has the shares belong to him now. Therefore, there is a threat, self-interest threat to his independence. That part is totally right. But what he should do now? That one crucial part, some of you are missing. Yes, Apurva, you are writing. He can sell the shares. So one possibility before him is to offload the shares, and he can, by doing this, he is eliminating the threat. Okay. If he doesn't sell the shares, then he becomes disqualified. Then he won't remain independent. Yes, students, clear? Any other response? Let us move to question number 4. A chartered accountant receives about 40% of his total audit fees from a single client. Discuss how it could affect independence of chartered accountant as auditor of this client. What are such type of threats referred to as? Very simple. We have done this today. A chartered accountant receives about 40% of his total audit fees from a single client. Discuss how it could affect independence of chartered accountant as auditor of this client. What are such type of threats referred to as? Yes, test your understanding for only 2 responses have come. No, no, again it is a self-interest threat. Yes, Nitin and Tambeshwari, you are right. Because his self-interest is involved. Client has not threatened him. There is nothing in the situation described which says that client has threatened him, which points to the fact that client is threatening him. It is a self-interest threat to the auditor. His own self-interest is involved. He is being threatened by his all own self-interest. Rather, he is intimidated by his own self-interest. If you want to think on these lines. Okay. Yes. Test your understanding 5C. CA Murli Madhavan provides accounting and bookkeeping services to a leading NGO engaged in environmental protection work. So there is some NGO which is engaged in environmental protection work, and he is providing accounting services to such NGO. He is also offered audit of the accounts of NGO. Identify and discuss what kind of threat to independence may be involved in accepting such an engagement. Which kind of threat would be there in such type of engagement? Yes, 3-4 responses have come. Yes, other students, I would request you to give your responses in your own interest. That is in your own interest, immaterial of the fact whether you get it right or wrong. At least you are trying to attempt. You are applying your mind. Yes, self-review threat. That is the right answer. Because say if some person is providing accounting services and bookkeeping services to a client, and he also accepts appointment as an auditor of that client, then where his independence would remain? His independence would be totally gone, because he was responsible for writing the books, and he is going to examine his own work as an auditor. The answer is very clear. Self-review threat. How, Nitin, you are writing advocacy threat? Where the advocacy threat come into this situation? It is clearly related to the work, and Tambeshwari, you are writing not effect independence. Whereas the question is clearly asking, identify and discuss which threat to independence is involved. Yes, again you are writing self-review threat. Okay. See, test your understanding 6. The auditors of a company have only relied upon management representation letters regarding treatment of certain tax matters under appeal by the company. The auditors have not carried out any other audit procedures to justify management's treatment of the said tax matters under appeal in financial statement. What is lacking on part of auditors in such a situation? Yes, tell what is lacking. What does the situation point towards? Yes, students, give your responses. What is lacking? What is missing on the part of auditors in this situation? Yes, students, give your responses. Yes, Goldie, what you are writing, failed to review engagement letter. Where does engagement letter come here into the picture? We have still not discussed the concept of engagement letter, and the situation is not about engagement letter. So the auditors are not alert. They to the risk of misstatements. They have not performed the procedures. They have not questioned the management. They have just relied upon their representation letters. They should have performed some other procedures to see whether some provision is required or not, or whether uh, what is the treatment in the situation, whether it is a contingent liability or provision is required. So definitely the professional skepticism is lacking in the situation. Yes, Ritika, your answer is totally right. Professional skepticism is lacking. So students, this was all about the concept of professional skepticism. So till now, we were doing some general concepts which are there in your module in this chapter, chapter 11. Now there are three specific standards. One is quality control standard, that is SQC1, and one is SA220, that is a standard on auditing, but it relates to quality control. And there is another SA210, relating to acceptance, relating to agreeing the terms of audit engagement. So what is an audit engagement, and what are terms of audit engagement? Yes, students, what do you understand by these terms? So we shall start this topic, kickstart this topic generally today, and then we'll try to cover it up in our session on Thursday. So what do you mean by the term engagement precisely? What is audit engagement? What is engagement? And what are terms of engagement? Now, you have read 10 chapters of audit, and by now you should be well placed to answer this question. Yes. Yes, try to give your responses on BOS mail, students. Yes, all of you are writing correctly. Ritika, you can't use the language like audit engagement is a project taken up by the auditor. So you have, when you are attempting in the exams, you have to write language which uh, which is proper. It is not a project. So in ordinary conversation, you may use such words for the sake of understanding, but it is not a sort of project as it is understood in the ordinary sense of the term. So engagement, yes, as Nitin Srinivasan, you are writing arrangement to do something. So like if if I am a company and I go to an auditor and request him to accept the appointment as auditor of my company, so I am engaging an auditor. So the auditor would provide the services, would provide the professional services in lieu of the fees, in lieu of professional fees. Okay. So, and what are terms of engagement? Terms of engagement is the terms, the conditions, the premise on the basis of which audit is to be conducted. Obviously, these terms, these conditions have to be clear to the client before the audit. He should have exact idea of what is the nature of services, what are the nature of such services which are going to be provided by the auditor, because there could be a lot of misconception or different perception in his mind regarding the auditing services. Like say a client may assume that an audit is supposed to dig out all the frauds, that he is the investigator, and he would dig out all the wrongdoings which he believes have been done by his employees. So, but that is outside the scope of audit services. Auditor is not supposed to dig out fraud. He can he his services provide a reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements, and he provides an opinion on the financial statements. On the way, he may come across fraud, but the primary objective is not so. Okay, so obviously the terms of engagement have to be clearly understood and agreed between the auditor and the client, as Ritika is writing correctly. Yes. Yes, Volti, he can dig out fraud, but it is not his primary objective. Go to chapter 1, go to basics, to the nature, objective and scope of audit. Read your first page. What is the objective of auditor? So he can, by performing the procedures, he definitely obtains reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from misstatements, either resulting due to errors or frauds. But the primary purpose is not to unearth carefully laid down frauds. This you have to be very clear in your mind. I'm not saying that he can't, he can. The procedures performed by him are very broad, are very encompassing, and they definitely can unearth fraud, but primary objective of an auditor is not so. Clear? So yes, Manish, Zoom, you can unmute Zoom. Unmute कर दो. Yes, any student who can ask, who is desirous of asking any question. Yes, Tambeshwari, you are asking something.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I asking for the independence of minds and the appearance.
Independence of mind and independence in appearance. Yes.
Sir.
So should I explain to you in English or in Hindi? Because I have already explained in English many times. So probably you are not getting it.
Yes, sir.
तो देखिए तांबेश्वरी, इंडिपेंडेंस के कंसेप्ट एक ही है इंडिपेंडेंस का. उसके दो, जिसको कहते हैं डायमेंशन समझते हैं आप? आयाम, हिंदी में एक वर्ड है आयाम. उसके दो पहलू हैं.
यस सर.
उसके दो पहलू हैं कि एक तो उस ऑडिटर का एटीट्यूड ऐसा है कि वो इंडिपेंडेंट ही रहेगा और वो जो भी डिसीजंस लेगा ऑब्जेक्टिवली लेगा, बिना किसी के इन्फ्लुएंस के लेगा, फैक्ट्स के बेसिस पे लेगा, अपनी प्रोफेशनल नॉलेज स्किल के हिसाब से लेगा. ये तो है एक पहलू उसका. ठीक है, एक फेस. और दूसरा फेस है कि जो भी ऑडिटर कर रहा है, चाहे वो खुद इंडिपेंडेंट है, लेकिन दूसरे आदमियों को, थर्ड पार्टीज को भी लगना चाहिए कि वो इंडिपेंडेंट है, कि वो कोई ऐसा काम ना करे जिससे कि ये लगे कि वो इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है. क्लियर तांबेश्वरी?
इट्स मीन्स द इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ द माइंड, मतलब कि सर वो खुद के बारे में ही समझता है कि वो इंडिपेंडेंट है, लेकिन इन द अपीयरेंस मतलब वो दूसरों को दिखाना चाहता है कि मैं भी इंडिपेंडेंट हूँ.
दूसरों को दिखना चाहिए कि वो इंडिपेंडेंट ही रहे. मैं कोई ऐसा काम ना करूं जिससे दूसरे को लगे कि मैं इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं हूं.
इट्स मीन्स थ्रेड्स आर इन्वॉल्व इन द केस.
हाँ, मतलब अगर वो दूसरे को लगता है कि भाई वो इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है, तो ऑब्वियसली कोई थ्रेट है उसकी.
Yes,
थ्रेट है उसकी इंडिपेंडेंस को. यस रितिका, यू वांट टू आस्क समथिंग?
Good
यस
evening,
रितिका.
sir. Sir, Good
Yes.
evening, sir. Sir, I am a bit confused between professional competence and due care and this professional behavior. So that TYK one, I got confused between those two.
Professional competence and due care, Ritika, you have to understand. Professional competence and due care is concerned with the knowledge levels of chartered accountant, with knowledge level of the auditor. So he is basically required to be updated about all the latest developments in legislation, in law, in profession, and accordingly he has to perform his work carefully, diligently, and advise his client if necessary. Whereas professional behavior, it is a it sort of, you can say, general behavior aspects which might bring bad name to the profession. Say if you get into some ugly fights, so where, in which rule book it is written? Okay.
Yes,
So,
sir.
but again, but it is going to bring a bad name. Look, Mr. X is he created a scene. He is fighting with the persons. He is also a chartered accountant. So,
Yes, sir.
is it a good professional behavior?
No, sir.
He is not behaving in a way which is expected from a professional of his stature.
Yes, sir. So in TYK 10 1, sir, he did not even bother to reply. So discredit to the profession.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
discredit
So
to the
it's a
profession. It's a
professional
behavior.
behavior. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Got it, sir. Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Welcome. Yes. Anybody else? Okay, students. So this is all for today. Have a great time, and we'll meet again on Thursday. Okay. Thank you, students, and be involved in your preparations, because May is also coming very fast. Do not take the things lightly. Um, do put in your best efforts. There are still few months left, and you can turn the situation in your favor even now. Okay. Best of luck, students. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
over, Manish. Okay.